we won't hold you to this prediction. Just quick gut. My gut is Georgia wins on Monday night. Do you have a gut feeling on a rematch scenario? I lived it in 2011, covering Alabama in the game of the century, and it feels a lot like that. That game was big in Atlanta. Alabama beat them. Now Alabama's got to beat them twice. That seems hard to do.
I've waffled on this like 12 times just since, yesterday. But I'd say Georgia. And from talking to people close to the Georgia program, in the immediate aftermath of the SEC championship game and even about a week and a half ago, they thought that they just had a bad game plan defensively going against Alabama, and they tweaked it a little bit at halftime, but they realized they messed up in the way they attacked Alabama's receivers and the way they attacked Bryce Young. They thought that they could rotate that defensive line, wear them out a little bit, take advantage of some of those quote-unquote weaknesses on the Alabama front. But Alabama not only did a great job blocking, keeping them at bay, but they moved guys around, and that affected the way Georgia was able to do things and just rely on their defensive front. And they realized that, their cornerbacks and safeties, that teams like Cincinnati, for example, and others, where you play some press man and get up in the face of the Alabama receivers, that can have some success. Well, Georgia doesn't have a lot of confidence in those guys, and they went in that game in the SEC championship, and you could tell they didn't because they didn't really try to put those guys on an island or go one-on-one with those receivers of Alabama. If Georgia's going to beat Alabama, everybody's going to talk about the defensive line. Alabama is the only way to really slow them down is to get in those receivers' faces, and Georgia's got to put more confidence into those cornerbacks. Can they do it? Do they have the confidence to do that? I don't know. And so it comes down to coaching in a big game like this, and who's better than Saban and what he does with that staff?
So here I am waffling now. You just waffled again.
Listen, Georgia is more talented at more spots and deeper, but just barely. And Alabama's got the greatest coach of all time, and I don't know. I'm going to go with Georgia. It's difficult to beat a team twice, and I think Georgia will listen, that game, we forget this, like late in the first quarter of that SEC championship game, maybe I'm getting my times wrong here, that seemed like a game like Georgia was like, oh, Georgia's still going to win this, or Georgia's going to still take advantage of some things here. You'd see some openings, and then Alabama just jumped on them, and Georgia can't play catch up. And but if Georgia can do what it did really in that first quarter of that SEC championship game again, and not fumble the ball or do anything like that, and if I know this is all ifs and ifs, but also Stetson Bennett missed a couple of passes downfield that would have changed that game too. Very difficult for those same type of issues to pop up in a second game. In addition to that, again, I think they will make those adjustments because that game plan was bad defensively against Alabama in the first half. Yeah, for right now, I'll go with Georgia. And listen, guys, you guys have probably said this too. I know I'm rambling, so stop me. But if Georgia doesn't win the national championship this year, when will they under Kirby Smart? I don't think they will. This is the year for them to do it. This is the best team Kirby Smart's had there. This will probably be the best team they'll ever have there, if we're going to be quite honest. And as I mentioned earlier, is this maybe the worst, quote-unquote, Alabama team in the national championship game? So if you're Kirby Smart and you're sitting there, you got your best team you've ever had, and you're going against maybe the worst or second worst Alabama team to beat a national championship, and you can't win the national championship still if you're Georgia, when the hell are you going to win it?